I'm not sure if this is starting or not. Okay. Difficulty going live on Insta, so I'm sorry for those who are trying to see this there. It's all sorts of trouble right now. Hold on just a sec. I'm going to try something else to maybe fix that for our Instagram friends. So I'm sorry, bear with me. I hope I know that there's a few people here and yeah, okay. We're going to make this work. I'm sorry. Technology. We're working. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully there'll be a few more people joining us, so we'll get started in just a couple minutes here. And hopefully I'll be able to get the Instagram feed to work as well for us. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not sure that the Instagram connection is going to end up working for us. If not, maybe I'll try going live thereafter. Yeah, sorry. Okay, anyways, well, Alicia and Gail are here, so that's awesome. Thanks for checking in and letting me know you're here. So today is Giving Tuesday, which is a live virtual giving event. Some of you may have heard of Giving Tuesday before and might know that it usually happens on the Tuesday after American Thanksgiving. But the folks at the host Giving Tuesday and that create that platform recognized the incredible stress that charities are under during this time, and so decided that they couldn't wait until November, that we couldn't wait until November, and decided to create a live, a virtual giving event today. And so information on ways and how to give are on the Arise website and also posted on our social media. So thanks for joining us. One of the things I thought I would do is open us up with a poem, and then I will share the Arise artwork that we've created over Lent, and the ways that it helps to share the story of this time. When we started this art project at the beginning of Lent, we had no idea what was before us. And so each week this art has been part of creating and telling the story. And it was always intended to tell the story. We just didn't know that this was the story it was going to be telling. So I'll be sharing the art and talking about it, answering any questions that you have. And hopefully we'll figure out a way for me to make the Instagram work as well. It's seeming not to work. So I don't quite know how to do that. So we'll maybe try to give that just one more go, and see what we can do here. I'm sorry. I feel like my mom is probably trying to check in on Instagram, and so that's maybe part of why I'm feeling the need to try to make that happen. Anyways, so I wanted to share some of the artwork. One of the things that you may have been following along or know that those who who give today on Giving Tuesday, every donation of $25 will give you one of our complimentary greeting cards. Sharing the Lenten artwork we've created. We took the Lenten Art project and we printed it onto greeting cards that way. And so for every $25 donation, we'll be sending you one of these greeting cards. They're blank inside, so you can use them however you'd like. If you give $50, you'll get 2 greeting cards. Anyone who signs up who's currently a monthly donor through PAR or through CanadaHelps, we so appreciate the love and support that you give us and the ways that you partner with us. And so you'll be getting the whole set of 7 of the 7 greeting cards as an expression of our gratitude for you, for journeying with us during this difficult time. In particular, and anyone who signs up today and decides that they want to be a monthly donor, we are happy to share the whole set of the 7 greeting cards with you too. So that's some announcements. I wanted to open the time with this poem. I shared it on my personal Facebook as a memory a couple weeks back, and I know that there were some people who really resonated with it, and so I thought maybe it would be good to start this time together with it. And this poem comes from a book called I Hear a Seed Growing, God of the Forest, God of the Streets by Edwina Gatley. And this is about her story of doing this type of ministry in the 80s, and her call and her discernment and her stories of ministry. So this is called God Ran Away. God ran away when we imprisoned her and put her in a box named church. God would have none of our labels and our limitations. And she said, I will escape and plant myself in a simpler, poorer soil, where those who see will see and those who hear will hear. I will become a God, believable because I am free, and go where I will. My goodness will be found in my freedom, and that freedom I offer to all, regardless of color, sex, or status, regardless of power or money. Ah, I am God because I am free. And all those who would be free will find me, roaming, wandering, singing. Come walk with me. Come dance with me. I created you to sing, to dance, to love. If you cannot sing, nor dance, nor love, because they put you also in a box, know that your God broke free and ran away. So send your spirit then to dance with her. Dance, sing with the God who they cannot tame nor chain. Dance within, though they chain your very guts to the great stone walls. Dance, beloved. Ah, dance. So I wanted to share the artwork and talk about it. And then I thought I would answer any questions that you have and close our time together with a prayer and a blessing. So I hope that that's a good use of our time today, and thanks for joining with me. So the first piece I did is called The Faces You Don't See. And it's a doorway that we would pass by on outreach. And in the doorway, there are two hearts marking two women who we didn't see that week. And we actually hadn't seen in the few weeks before that either. And so we were beginning to really worry about them. Today, I saw that today is also the National Day for Missing and Murdered Women, Indigenous women and girls. And so this piece sort of speaks to that as well. We hope and pray for them. We hope and pray for these two women. When this artwork was created, their absence was so striking to us. And we hoped and prayed that their absence meant breaking away from cycles of abuse, oppression, and exploitation. But we feared the worst, horrific violence from a bad date or a pimp, rendering them unable to work. And in hope and prayer, we continued to wait. The update that I can share is that in one of the weeks after that, we did see them again. And so we still don't know why they were absent, but there was some relief and hope in seeing them again. So I chose to use watercolors for a number of reasons. It's one of my favorite mediums to work with, but I also like that the ways it plays with shadows, the softness in it that sort of, even though this is a harsh scene, there was a softness in particular with one of these women. She's really soft-spoken, and those of us I know that there are some who are joining online who've done outreach with Arise and who have often said how striking that is. Kind of the harshness of the scene and the reality and the softness that we've seen in her. And so I wanted to try to portray that in art in depicting this scene. So this is called The Faces You Don't See. And this was created the Thursday, reflecting outreach the Thursday night after Ash Wednesday. And so the beginning of our Lenten journey. This next piece is called With Holy Water. And I created it after visiting one of our participants who was in hospital for mental health reasons, and went to visit her in the hospital. And obviously that was before things got real bad and we couldn't visit people in hospitals. And so as we spoke together, she talked about kind of this feeling of darkness that she had been feeling in her apartment, and that she described as a smoky fog. Some violent individuals had attempted to take over her apartment, controlling her with threats and drugs. And she was able to get help and have these individuals removed from her apartment. And as we spoke about her coming out of hospital, we spoke about boundaries, but also about reclaiming her space. not just physically and emotionally, but spiritually. And the idea of doing a home blessing presented itself. And so this was sort of my way of depicting that, of hoping that holy water would just wash over that fog and bless and reclaim her space and her home and her being. During this time, we've actually had a number of people who have struggled with some pretty severe mental health challenges. The ways that this present time is increasing anxiety and depression and the sense of trauma and past traumas that are kind of bubbling up in all of that, and the ways that we as Arise have tried to respond and support through our case management, but how it's such a challenge during this time, and there's not enough support for people who are coming out of a hospital because of these mental health challenges right now, because the community supports can't operate in all the ways that we would like to and normally would. And so, yeah. Okay, our next piece, I think Alicia's still here online, so she can feel free to comment as I'm sharing this piece and share some of her experiences of what this piece depicts. So this piece is called Heart Opens to Hearts, and we have a partnership with a Children's Aid Society group home, and on March the 11th, we hosted 2 youth from the group home for dinner and a program. And Alicia shared with the youth openly and honestly of her own lived experiences. And in the warm glow of our living room at Arise, Alicia opened her own heart and shared so vulnerably and generously the truth of her own experiences and her own story. And when she finished, the youth were asked if they had any questions or anything they wanted to share. And remarkably, these 2 youth opened up and shared their own stories. They shared what had led them to the group home. And it was this sacred moment of sharing in the light and warmth that Alicia radiated in her sharing to offer healing and hope to these young and hurting hearts. So I depicted Alicia as this big bleeding heart, which those of you who know Alicia may feel like this is a bit of a good way of describing Alicia, just this big, beautiful heart. And from it is radiating all these things, love and hope and understanding and empowerment, warmth, light, joy, justice, truth, belonging, vulnerability, connectedness, open sharing, courage, and compassion. And so it was just so beautiful. And it was so hard to then have to, like, the Monday after, cancel our next time with these youth. And we're holding them really heavily in our hearts during this time, and praying for that group home and those youth. So that is called Heart Opens to Hearts. And I know I'm having trouble with the Instagram. I will go back and share things on Instagram, but I know my mom said that that's like one of her favorite of these pieces because she thinks it so portrays what Arise is about. And so I wanted to share that piece. Okay, so this is called Outreach in the Pandemic. And in the time of pandemic, and it is how I felt, how we, all felt really that first week doing outreach after things had closed. So that was Lent, the fourth week of Lent, March the something. And so, yeah, so much had changed in the past week for all of us. And the feelings that came doing outreach that night just seemed like this swirling, bizarre vortex. The sadness of seeing Fran's 24-hour diner, this like Toronto fixture and institution with its lights off and nobody inside. The eeriness of seeing church in Wellesley being quiet on a Thursday night. The strip clubs of Yonge Street closed with their lights off and doors closed, no bouncers at the door or lineup of taxis down the street. And those we did see were so grateful for our support that night. And so many others had closed or reduced services or placed limits on people coming and going. And those who rely on panhandling and squeegeeing rushed to cars with seemingly little regard for their own safety, desperate for whatever could be given. And that was hard to see. It was hard for us navigating in our car. And the few pedestrians walking around downtown were mostly wearing masks. And when we passed St. Michael's Hospital, there was large signs indicating how to get to the COVID-19 assessment center. And the ambulance bay seemed to have more ambulances than on a typical Thursday night. And it felt weird and bizarre and strange as the weather threatened thunderstorms, and I prayed the rain would make it all clean. And so my prayer was, unleash your holy water, O God, to cleanse, heal, and make all things new. And I did this in watercolor as a mini, in a little, and just trying to create that like swirling, spattering feeling. So the next piece is called Reimagine. And in it, I've also written hope and possibility and opportunity. And this quote that Heather Tucker, the author of The Clay Girl, had offered me that week. And this quote comes from Rebecca Sonlet, and it says, inside the word emergency is emerge. From an emergency, new things come forth. The old certainties are crumbling fast. The danger and possibility are sisters. And so this time has become a time of reimagining. We have had to consider new ways of offering care and support during this time. And we had created this self-care workbook. And we had created it some months, probably about a year ago, and thought, okay, with this dream of getting a grant and having it bound and published and made available to people. And it seemed like it was created for just such a time as this. It's a 12-week workbook that has links to videos and reflection questions that our case managers can work through with participants from a distance. And so we went and got that printed and mailed it out to our participants. We continue to mail grocery gift cards to our participants. Our case managers have been creative and adaptive in the ways that they have offered resources and offerings to our participants. And And so we're continuing to work. Our work looks different as we've reimagined it, but that support is still being offered to the community. And okay, so the next piece is called Leaning into Hope. And that Thursday, April the 2nd, I think it was, we made the difficult decision to suspend our street level outreach services. Amid more restrictions and more knowledge, it just felt like it was no longer safe for us to continue to offer street level outreach services. And my sister always checks in with me on Thursday morning on Friday mornings after outreach. And I had told her that, we weren't going to be doing outreach anymore. And she sensed that after 11 years of me doing street level outreach late at night in every kind of weather imaginable, that I might still need a Friday morning check-in, that it might feel strange to me not to be out and doing outreach. And so she sent me a text checking in. And I told my sister how out of sorts I was feeling and how I needed to keep reminding myself of the powerful words of Jamie Tuworkowski, who's the founder of To Write Love on Her Arms, and to know that hope is not canceled. And we reflected together on our mutual appreciation for these words and this reminder. Hope might look different right now, but it's not canceled. So in the background, in the rainbow, is Jamie's words, which are conversations will not be canceled, relationships will not be canceled, love will not be canceled, songs will not be canceled, reading will not be canceled, self-care will not be canceled, hope will not be canceled. May we lean into the good stuff that remains. And then over which, in gold lettering, I've written, hope is not canceled. If you haven't heard of Jamie and To Write Love on Her Arms, they are an amazing organization that offers so much around depression and addiction and self-harm and suicide, and creating awareness and support and prevention. They are just a wonderful organization that have that I've found so much inspiration from. And so if you want to check out Aloha, they do some great work. Okay, so the last piece. This was from Holy Week. And on a typical Thursday, Monday, Thursday, we would have been doing lunch church. We would have gathered at Arise for that. And so during our liturgy, I would have said words from the Iona community's We Worship liturgy. I would have said, "He who has suffered for our injustices is now present for us in this bread. And he whose body was hung on a cross is now offered to us in this cup. These are the gifts of God for the children of God." And so I titled this piece, "The Gifts of God." And the words struck me, and I began, the words "our injustices" struck me in new ways. as the global pandemic put some of these into focus. And so I started naming the injustices. And it's not an exhaustive list, but it's a list nonetheless to remind us of some of the injustices in our world. So on the bread, I wrote, "He who suffered for our injustices, systemic oppression, poverty, exploitation, bigotry, racism, ageism, ableism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, xenophobia, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia. He who suffered for our injustices is now present for us in this bread." And then on the cup, I wrote, "He whose body was hung on a cross is now offered to us in this cup." So those are the art pieces. We've had them, like I said, all put on these, goes the other way, printed onto the greeting cards. So for every $25 donation today, we're happy to send you a greeting card. If you have ones that you like, pieces that you would really prefer when you give your $25 donation, if you give a $25 donation, let us know and we'll try to facilitate that. Like I said, monthly donors, current or new, will be receiving the whole set of the seven pieces. I don't know if anyone has any questions. If you do, post them in the comments. And I see that Catherine wrote in the comment, in one of the comments, I think this was about the first piece. Oh no, it was about the one about with Alicia. She said that she loves the light around the one heart. Anyways, I don't see any questions, so I'd like to close us with prayer. And those who are ministers, my clergy friends, if this prayer resonates for you and you want it shared as like prayers of the people in your worship, let me know and we'll figure out how to. I would like be so happy to. That would be such a honor. So send me a message and we'll make that happen. Let's pray. God, be with us. God, stand in the space between us and fill it with your love. God, may your presence, your peace, your hope find and fill us. God, be with the missing, the stolen, the forgotten, the faces we don't see. God, be with those trapped in cycles of abuse, oppression, and exploitation. God, be with the survivors of bad dates and all who are carrying the trauma of sexual harassment, violence, and rape within them. God, be with the murdered and with their loved ones. Stand in the space between us and fill it with your justice. God, be with the bullied, the afraid, those who struggle with addiction, those facing mental illness, those who feel surrounded by a darkness we cannot see, those battling a spiritual war within them that we do not understand. May your holy water lift the smoky fog. When the smoke and fog clear, may we find you, standing in the space between us, filling it with a knowing that can only come from you, opening a new way forward. God, be with the youth at home, the youth in group homes, the youth on the streets, the youth at risk, the youth who have run away, the youth who were thrown away, the youth who the system has given up on, the youth who have given up on themselves. God, stand in the space between us, allow heart to open to heart, courage to be found in vulnerability, empowerment to be found in understanding, and hope to rise up. God, be with those on the streets. Be with the homeless and those who feel desperate. Be with the outreach workers, the drop-in workers, the shelter staff and housing workers. Be with those living in encampments and those fighting the unjust removal of encampments. Be in and on the hearts of city officials. Stand in the space between us and fill it with mercy. God, be with the hospital and healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics. Be with the hospital chaplains and social workers. God, be on the front lines with those on the front lines. God, stand in the space between us and fill it with your healing strength. God, be with the case managers, the caregivers, the ministers and pastors. God, be with us as we reimagine new ways of ministry, of serving, of worship, and care. God, be with us as we reimagine ways of being in communion with one another and with you. Stand in the space between us. Fill it with your creative imagination that new possibilities would continue to emerge. God, be with us as we struggle to find hope. Be with those who feel alone or abandoned. Be with those who struggle with anxiety and depression. Be with those who struggle with self-worth and self-harm. Be with those who have contemplated suicide, those who are contemplating suicide, and those grieving the loss of loved ones to suicide. Stand in the place between us. Write love on their arms, on our arms. Help us to lean into hope. Remind us that it is not canceled. God, who comes to us in bread and wine and the ordinary things of this world, remind us that he who suffered for our injustices, systemic oppression, poverty, exploitation, bigotry, racism, ageism, ableism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, xenophobia, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, all our injustices, is present for us in the bread. And he whose body was hung on a cross is offered to us in the cup. Remind us of your gifts, O God. Stand present in the spaces between us in the ways that only you can. Amen. I guess to close us, I'll offer my benediction. May the God of Sarah, Rahab, and Deborah bless you with faith, courage, and wisdom. May Jesus Christ, who is held in Mary's arms, hold you in his loving embrace. And may the Holy Spirit, who comes sailing on the wind, fill all your days with hope. Amen. And thank you for this time together, friends, and for your love and support of Arise. Be well.